It was one of the most hot-tempered and passionate parliamentary debates for decades, and Yorkshire MPs were in the thick of it.
This Prime Minister to talk about morals and morality is a disgrace!
With the Commons reassembled, Prime Minister Boris Johnson was standing his ground and ruffling feathers in the process with his choice of words, especially when the name of murdered Batley MP Jo Cox was brought up.
And we stand here, Mr. Speaker, under the shield of our departed friend, with many of us in this place subject to death threats and abuse every single day.
I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I've never heard such humbug in all my life.
Watching live on TV at home in Gomersall, Jo Cox's sister Kim Leadbeater says she was appalled by what she heard from Boris Johnson.
His reply was, well, that's humbug. What did you think of that?
I think the humbug comment was particularly disrespectful. I hope he's had time to think about that and realise that probably wasn't the most helpful thing to do in those circumstances. But, you know, he gets abuse. All politicians get abuse, but the only way we're going to change that culture out in broader society is by them behaving in a responsible manner.
The best way to honour the memory of Jo Cox, and indeed the best way to bring this country together, would be, I think, to get Brexit done.
It's so personal for us when Jo's name comes up that it's always very difficult. So Mum and Dad ring me and I ring them, and we have a conversation and we try and look after each other. But I also am worried, you know, that things have become so toxic.
I believe the Prime Minister is inciting hatred towards MPs, and I understand the importance of saying that, but I know that feeling is shared by many others and not just in the Labour Party.
For those carrying on Jo Cox's work in the Batley area, there's hope politicians will learn from what happened in Parliament last night.
We have had, and we should be able to have, a really robust, civil and respectful discussion around the issues that are really pertinent at this time. And I would just really like to see, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to see, that being enacted by our leadership.
Since Jo Cox was murdered by a right-wing extremist in June 2016, work has been going on to bring the community together. Using her theory, we all have more in common. So people there today said the Prime Minister's language was unhelpful and dangerous.
If a leader of the country uses bad language, it affects us, because we are the minority here, and people think if he can say those things, everybody else can say as well.
The way some of the MPs were carrying on and the way that they criticise each other is none other than shameful in my view.
They're putting too much pressure on the guy, and I think all they're putting this pressure on for is because they want to stop him, and that's it.
Calls for Boris Johnson to apologise for his remarks in Parliament have so far fallen on deaf ears. Ian White, BBC Look North, Batley.